Doing a late video tonight talking about, is there a male loneliness epidemic? There was a recent video that was done by, the person is called ShoeONHead, and I know Better Bachelor had talked about this recently in one of his videos talking about male loneliness. And I wanted to say, as a nurse who works across the country, I don't see a male loneliness epidemic or problem going on. What I do see is most of the people that come into the hospital for mental disorder, for either or who have histories of like anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, is overwhelmingly women, and I see a larger number of women coming into the hospital for alcohol-related issues. And the data shows it. There's been many articles talking about, especially among young people, that young people are drinking less. And the reason being is because you're not seeing as many young men. Like, for example, I lived in Manhattan on the Upper East Side, and we used to go out all the time. You know, the bars always used to be packed. And then as the laws changed, you saw less men willing to go out into the dating area. So you'd go out and it'd be like a whole bunch of women. And eventually the dating scene died down because the men weren't there anymore. So what did the women do? The women moved to where the men were. That's why you see a lot more videos of women going into gyms and doing videos related to going to the gym. Why? Because men redirected their attention to more productive matters. And so they weren't busy chasing after women, they were busy chasing after personal excellence. And so often, in any event, overwhelmingly, the people that I come across that are doing these things are men. I mean, you just go to the gyms, and most of the time, overwhelmingly, it is filled with men. Where you don't see is you don't see a lot of women doing these things. And this is why, in my opinion, this is why you see women behaving worse, because men aren't paying as much attention to them as they used to. And so women tend to act out when they're not getting male attention. And so a lot of times males look at women, especially if you watch shows, let's say like Fresh and Fit, where they kind of focus in on subset of low quality women, typically obviously in a city like Miami, where overwhelmingly most of the women that come on that show are very low quality women that you wouldn't give the time of day to. And so those women can't get men outside of throwing themselves at these women, offering their sex up with a very minimal resistance. And so what happens over time is more women do that as men become less interested in women. You see a lot more men, focusing on gaming and exercising, pursuing other forms of personal growth. Most of the streaming you see on men, what did women go to? The women went to titty streamers. You see a lot of this where people will look at women, and I think they have the wrong concept or the wrong idea of why women are running towards things like OnlyFans or selling sex on Seeking Arrangement. It's because they can't find men willing to offer them anything. You see, when it comes to an economy, and women selling themselves in the dating market is an economy, and typically people will offer what is of less value to get what is of more value in their eyes. For example, look at the pandemic, right? During the pandemic, they were willing to give you, in New York, you had de Blasio talking about, oh, we're going to give you a cheeseburger. He was sitting there eating fries, and I can get this if I go out and get a shot. There were people offering, I think it was in maybe in Alabama or somewhere in the South, they were offering shots of Henny. California, they were offering, certain places were like, oh, you come get a hit of weed, get a little joint, and with each of your vaccines. In places, I think it was like in Russia, literally at a brothel, the women were advertising free sex with each injection. They were offering all sorts of things. Didn't matter what it was. Money, and when the hospital hours that, they giving away gift cards for Amazon gift cards, etc. Because what was of more value was your compliance, your loyalty to the state. It's the same thing if you're looking for an automobile, you're looking for a nice sports car. You don't care about the money by comparison to the joy that you're going to get from that sports car, because you enjoy everything about whatever particular car that you've been wanting to get. You've had a goal, you've set that goal, you've achieved it, and so the money isn't of value by comparison to the thing that you're looking to purchase. And that's basically how economies work. And so think about it from the male's perspective. Why is OnlyFans so blossoming? Why was pornography exploding? Because women's value was diminishing in the eyes of men, that a man literally can pay $5 to see these naked women, get some sort of interaction with them, and that's enough. See, a lot of people look at us, oh, you guys are simping on the internet. And I'd say, if anything, the free market freed men from the responsibility of having to maintain women. Think about it this way. In the early 1900s, if you wanted sex, you had to get married, get the state involved, end up having kids, getting a home, doing this, that, and the other, the honey-do list. Now men don't have to do that. There are literally women who will sell themselves for a couple of bucks. They'll offer themselves up. Think about it. Offer themselves naked on the internet for as little as $5 a month. You get 30 days worth of seeing this chick naked on the internet for $5. That's how low value men view women in America, in the West. And so while people look at it and they say, why are women behaving this way? And I said this before in previous videos, that women adapt to the environment that men put them in. And so if women are literally taking their clothes off, sleeping randomly with whatever men that will take them, that's how low value a woman is in the United States. People look at it from all these women are getting rich. But you have to think about it. Think about how many men that those women are offering their bodies to on the internet to make that money. Think about how low quality that woman has to be to devalue her self-worth, to display herself on the internet that way. And that's why I say the women are just adapting. The women are adapting to the fact that men don't want them. You look at the woman, you see a woman who you view as attractive, and you say, well, you got impregnated by a Pookie or a Ray Ray, and that was your choice. And I say, the only man that wanted her was a Pookie or a Ray Ray. That was the only man she could get that would really impregnate her, that would run the risk, that would take on the responsibility to get impregnated by that woman, to impregnate that woman. You see, another man will look at that woman and say, yes, she's attractive, but she ain't worth it. The risk, right? The risk is not worth the reward. She's a low value woman. Yes, from the standpoint of looking at her as she might be physically attractive. And that's the mistake that many men make, is that they look at that woman on Fresh and Fit or whatever show, and they'll say, well, that was because you chose not to get with all these other men that were nice guys. In my opinion, those guys that were nice more than likely knew she wasn't a quality woman, and so none of those men were willing to take her, or none of those men might necessarily have been quality themselves. And so she literally had to devalue herself to end up with Pookie or Ray Ray. The only thing that she could get was a man who was willing to pass her around. Does that sound like value? Think about it. You see a lot of these men in the industry, right? Whether it's rapping, basketball. Look at, what's that chick's name? That black girl, Brittany Renner. She gets around with a lot of wealthy men. Do you think those men value her? She gets passed around like a blunt. by all these different men. That's the best that she could get. That's literally the best that she can get, is men willing to pass her around until she's used up. There's no value there. And that's what many of these women don't understand. And unfortunately, it's what a lot of men don't understand. That yes, you might look at that woman, you might think physically she's attractive, but if you were actually to interact with that woman in a date sort of scenario, you would quickly realize this chick ain't a woman that I would want to risk getting into a relationship with. She's not the type of woman that I would waste my time. And so this is why you don't see men trading their valuable time with many women today. What they're willing to trade is they're willing to trade the dollar. Remember what I said in the beginning, that in an economy, people will trade what is of less value for what they perceive is of more value. So yes, I'll trade that $5 because I can see your ass on the internet for $5 a month. I'm not willing to make a more of an investment than that $5. For those men who she's displaying herself on the internet, that's all she's worth. You're worth $5 a month. That's a bargain. I'll take it. I don't have to be responsible for you. I don't have to hear your shit. I don't have to provide for you. I don't have to protect you. I don't have to get you pregnant. There's no honey-do list. Just show me your ass cheeks. Let me see that coochie. Show me them titties. Thank you. Have a good day. Goodbye. Close the internet and go about my business. That's how low value women are in the States. And men don't understand it because they're saying all these women are making money. It's because the money is of less value than the man's time. They're not willing to give you your time. And this is what women exchange. This is why women get very upset when she perceives that she was going to get a relationship out of you and she throws sex at you right away. And then you just use her for sex, and she gets upset because for her the interaction wasn't equal, because she wasn't looking for sex. She was trading sex for what she hoped was a relationship. And when that doesn't pan out, well, then she gets upset. Because from the male's perspective, he's like, my time is more valuable than your sex. And so men will trade money. They'll trade the money because I can go out there and make that money real quick. And all the other responsibilities about dealing with a woman, I don't have to worry about. This is what many people don't understand. And I think a lot of people who are quote unquote red pill, they don't understand it this way. They view money as being of higher value than their time. It's because a lot of the men who are in that position, their time might not be worth all that much. And so they don't have the right mindset that these women are literally trading their most valuable thing, which is their sex that they have to offer a man, and their beauty and their youth, for literally $5. $5 a month. You can sit there and watch some of these very beautiful women. I mean, shit. Literally, you can just watch it for free. That's how low value many women are today. That you can literally get off to women on the internet for free. The free market has completely devalued the necessity of a man having to take care of a woman. Because even though we see many women that are out earning men, they're still unhappy. Why? Because what they really want is a man's time. That's why you hear many of these women say, oh, we're unprotected. Even though they out earn, you're like, bitch, this is what you wanted. But it's not what they wanted. It's what men wanted. Men didn't want the responsibility for women. And so they created an environment that men didn't have to be responsible for women. See, people don't understand it. Your mindset is not correct. The reality is, men, as I said before, women adapt to the environment that men put them in. Why don't you see Jewish women shaking their titties online? Because the men don't want that. Look at the Muslim. Muslim men will put their women to death if they act out of pocket, because they don't want because they don't value that. And so the women adapt. The women adapt. Do the women want to go out there and be strong and independent doing this? Yes, they do. But what's of more value is the men. And that is why they adapt to their men because the men won't tolerate it. It's the same thing look at the Amish, look at the Mennonite, pick whatever religious group. The men create the environment and the women adapt to the environment. That's why you don't see the women behaving that way, because the men will not respond to the women. The reason women act like hoes and are promiscuous and they're 304s and they show their titties and do all this stuff, it's because that's what the men want. And so the women adapt. And men have created the system where they'll say, go ahead, go out there and be strong and be independent. I don't have to protect you. I don't have to be responsible for you. Tax me, I don't care, because I don't want you. And that's the reality of what is going on today. The men don't want the women. It's not the other way around. It's not the other way around. For a lot of young men, they don't understand that because they don't realize that men are the prize. And that's why women will throw themselves. They'll offer their sex. They'll do whatever. They'll sit there and shake their ass and twerk. They'll do all this crazy shit. Because at the end of the day, what they want is male attention. That's the most valuable currency to a woman. And that's why you see when the passport bros prove it. When the men were, hey, we living our best life over here, what did the women do? The women started, oh, we don't care. Because they were venting. They were upset that's how little the men cared for them. That they were like, fuck these women over here. We like these women over here. And that burned a lot of these women. That's why they were posting all these videos. We don't care if you leave. Go ahead, leave. You're dusty anyway. Because realistically speaking, the men don't want them. The men don't want them. It is what it is. You have to change your mindset, and you have to understand that it's not women that are the prize. It's men. Men have always been the prize throughout all of history. And when you listen to what women say, that the men don't protect us, that the men don't value us, the women throw themselves at the man. Why? Because it's the man that is of value, not the woman. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.